I'm Samantha Cruz-Mendoza. I'm running for Bellingham Port Commissioner in the 4th District. My background, I grew up here in Whatcom County. I grew up in Linden. I graduated from Meridian High School. I studied at Washington State University, political science and criminology. I'm currently a law student at Seattle University School of Law. And as for my career, I worked at the Washington State Legislature for the past 4 years. Prior to that, I worked at Whatcom County Superior Court. So I've always just been in Washington and always been in Whatcom County. Yeah, I'm running for Bellingham Port Commissioner because I don't want to raise people's taxes. And those other branches of government are a little bit reliant on that. And I want to make things more affordable around here in Whatcom County, especially up in the area that I grew up in, Linden. It's just become so unaffordable. Folks in my generation have been priced out beyond belief, where folks that I grew up with have had to move in with multiple roommates, stay at home, and haven't had the ability to launch into their next chapter of life and raise families of their own. And it's a common phenomenon here in Whatcom County. And that's due to the high cost of everything. It's also a huge part of there's just no living wage jobs here. And the Port Commission has the unique function of creating that opportunity for folks and making sure that we are supporting our businesses here locally and our workforce. So yeah. The shipping terminal, for sure. And there's been a lot of really awesome work done on it to modernize so far. I went over to the walking tour and got to see big cranes up close. It'd be really great if we had some of our own here, then we're just loaners from Seattle. And it's pretty awesome how much work can be done there. The warehouses looked a little bit empty, so getting some stuff out there to export from Whatcom County would benefit our county as a whole in producing revenue, but also would give work to local folks here. My family, when my parents moved here about 27 years ago, the first jobs they had were at Bellingham Cold Storage, and there wasn't a lot of opportunity for them beyond that, but it was enough for them to work really hard to get good pay for a while, and that was enough to build the base to where they are now in Whatcom County, and that's just not a reality for folks these days. So putting better use to our terminal would really bolster that workforce opportunity. I think it's a little bit of a tricky situation to sell off property that's owned by the people. I think having the structure of lease agreements works better for the port. We have some control there. We don't have our property monopolized, and we're not in a situation where the public land is then held by a corporation or such, and we can still use whatever legal functions we have to get that property back if there's an issue moving forward. Looking to the Harcourt development issue that results in a lot of really, really valuable waterfront property being out of the hands of public and into the hands of private corporations that were kind of just sitting on their hands while folks around here were struggling to pay their rents and such. And I think that we can look to that and see that it's just not a good idea to do that, and we should stick to a lease structure. The Blaine Harbor. That one has been very near and dear to my heart because it's just an untapped area that the port has not really invested into as well as they could, in my opinion. There's been a lot of good work in Bellingham development, but not a lot attention up in Blaine. So making sure that cleanup process is expedited and we tap into those Model Toxic Control Act funding will get us jumping forward to stabilize bulkhead and do some infrastructure work to expand that public pier and the marina or in the harbor to have folks to have visitor moorage and make things easier for commercial fishers up in Blaine. Our fishing industry is not just Bellingham based, it's also Blaine. So supporting the folks up there would be a very huge step for the port, and it would do some really good to help our border town that's really suffering from lack of Canadian tourism. Yeah, this question's actually come up a lot at the doors when I'm chatting with folks up in my district. A lot of folks are like, well, there's no waterfront here. What does the port have to do with me? I'm like, well, they They provide jobs for all of the county. So jobs that are like, say for example, we get a business that produces 1,000 or 100 jobs, and that might be 100 people. That's 100 families, and those are folks who go work for long days, get paid very well, and will probably go eat dinner out more often. So they're patroning local businesses that are also struggling right now, and stimulating our local economy by providing for their family and purchasing things in our county. So the effects aren't just specific to who works at the waterfront, but also the folks who work at the waterfront that contribute to our economy are very important, especially as the investing in apprenticeship programs provides educational opportunity for younger folks to continue to live in Whatcom County and close by and have a good paying job. There needs to be very, a very good discussion and partnership and collaboration with our tribes. Signing the Treaty of Point Elliott, there are a lot of workarounds that we have to do to honor the agreement made between our federal government and Lummi Nation. So ensuring that we are not impeding on their sovereignty, but also allowing for marine trades to flourish. So we have jobs for folks in the county is very, very important, but also acknowledging that there are those workarounds. And it's things can happen at once. We've coexisted for a long time, and I think right now is a very good time to repair those relationships and ensure that we are benefiting both our tribes and our folks that are in Whatcom County in general. I would say about a 5. It will definitely not show through that everything a decision I make will be a partisan thing. Can be very impartial to things. And we all have the same shared interest. Folks want to make things more affordable here in Whatcom County. Folks want to have jobs here in Whatcom County. And that's not necessarily a partisan thing that has to separate the end goal. But I will have a bit of a more progressive approach to things, and that I think that creating living wage jobs also makes sure that we are protecting those workers' rights and ensuring that their living wage jobs are protected and they have the ability to raise their families and such. And we're also making sure that we're not alienating businesses, local businesses here that would be incentivized to take their work elsewhere. So we're supporting local businesses by kind of cutting some of those costs for them and easing those burdens. But yeah. So I really love Whatcom County. I've lived here my whole life. I want to have a family here one day, and all my family lives here, and I want to make this place more affordable, not just for myself and my family, but all the folks that grew up with around here who love our neck of the woods. We have everything. We have a beautiful waterfront. We have all these amazing places to hike. We have some downtown life if it's not really your vibe to be out in nature. And I think a community is, you can really gauge how well a community is doing by how many local businesses and local folks stay around here. A lot of the names you see up on businesses up north are family names. They've been here for generations, and it's been devastating to see some of them close their doors. So I want to make things more affordable for everyone to continue to work in Whatcom County. And yeah.